Okay, I'm getting ready to work on my teak deck. The previous owner of this boat, because these old teak decks, they use wood screws to screw the teak planks down. And so what happens is that water gets in through the screw holes and gets into the core of the deck. And so the deck is built of a fiberglass, and then it has a plywood core. And so what happens is that the water gets in, fresh water mainly is the problem, not salt water so much, because fresh water has rot organisms in it that cause dry rot. And salt water, the salt prevents the rot organism from surviving in the water. So what happens is rainwater mainly gets into the core. And so there was a boat like mine. It was back east. They get a lot more rain back east than we do here in California. And he tore his whole deck out, tore the fiberglass off, got down to the wooden core, and every screw hole had soft wood, about the size, I'd say, of a quarter at the most. And so I'm thinking that this boat probably is not as bad. Overall, the core on his boat looked pretty good. It's just where all the screw holes were. And so the previous owner did one side along the cabin before I bought the boat. What he did was he used acetone. He took the screws out and used a syringe, put acetone down in the holes. And what that does is when the acetone evaporates, it draws the moisture out. And then after it was good and dry, he went ahead and used very thin penetrating epoxy, again with a syringe, going back into all the screw holes, and that soaks into the core and hardens up the core. So he did this side here, and it's been really good. It's super solid. No planks are loose or anything. And so he went all the way up to from the back of the cabin all the way up to the front of the cabin. And so I'm going to go ahead and start on the other side. And I haven't done this yet, so this is my first time on doing this. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have some acetone here, and I took a water bottle and I cut the bottom out of it so I can pour the acetone in here and then draw it out with a syringe. But before I do that, I need to start removing some screws. And some of these have bungs, teak bungs covering the screws, so I'll have to remove those. And I'm just gonna, basically I wanna do this area right in here. This is where I board the boat. And this is the lowest spot on the deck. Along the side here, and so the water tends to accumulate right in this area, and even though it doesn't puddle, it runs off. And when we get a lot of rain, I can hear water squishing underneath the teak planks because they're not sealed. This is going to all have to be resealed eventually. So I'm going to go ahead and do some of these just to see how it goes. So I'm going to start by removing some screws, and the screws are, the original screws are brass, so they tend to they back out on their own. I mean, I could probably just lift it right out. There's one right here. Yeah, see, it pulls right out. It's totally, because it's brass and with salt water, it's totally corroded off. This is not the whole screw here. It's just part of a screw. The end of it just pretty much rotted away. I'm going to replace them with stainless steel screws. So this is about the size of the screw that I need, and they're real small. I can't, let's see, how deep is that going to go? Yeah, I got to be careful because if I use real long screws, they'll go all the way through into inside of my boat, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove some screws. I have one that broke off here. The previous owner gave me a set of needle nose pliers that were bent at the end. They were curved, and he ground them down to a real fine point, and unfortunately they ended up in a bag of some garbage or something, and they got thrown out. But I can see one of the screws here is broke off, so I'm gonna have to get something and back that screw out. I have needle nose pliers in my car. I don't know if they'll work. I may just go up and get them. So, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start taking screws out. Okay, that one's coming out. Again, just pretty much rotted off. I don't know if it broke off and there's still part of it down in there. That might be the case. But I'll just have to deal with it as I go. Yeah, they're all pretty much rotted off. So I have a bung here, a wooden bung that's covering over the hole. So what I do is I put the little flathead screwdriver right in the center because I don't want to damage the teak deck. So, but I need to dig this wooden bung out, so I have to break it, and I just use my hand usually and just kind of, I had a trick to doing this, and kind of flick it out. Sometimes I can get it to go. I think I'm going to need my hammer. So I have to carefully dig these bungs out. So I got an awl here. It's like an ice pick, and I'm just gonna see if I can clean out the little slot in the screw, because glue gets down in them. This one's glued in pretty good. I've done some of these before, just replacing screws. I didn't use any epoxy or anything. I just removed the old screws and put new screws in. I was moving my boat, and it was just a last minute thing. I had some planks coming up a little bit and farther forward here along the side here. And when I was removing the bungs, occasionally I get one like this that was kind of a pain, but most of them would pop right out, and a lot of them already popped out on their own. So let's see if I can get a screwdriver in it, get it moving. I don't think so, not yet. Got to be careful that I don't strip the screw head. Okay, that popped out good. Okay, I think I used a bigger flathead to kind of work these bungs loose. This one's being very difficult, and you can imagine the amount of screws that are in this deck, how much work this is going to be. So I'm not looking forward to it. Some people love teak decks, and some people absolutely hate them. I'm kind of in between. I like them. I do like them. I think they look nice, and they're a little more comfortable to walk on when you don't have shoes on. But yeah, they can be a lot of work. The new modern teak decks are really nice because they're all glued down. There's no screws in them, so you don't have this problem. Okay, so I got this big flat-ended screwdriver here, and it's just a little smaller than the size of the bung hole. That's what it's called, a bung hole, by the way. And so this is going to help remove the bung and clear the top of the screw off because there's glue on it. That's right, spit all over it, Tom. Okay. This screw is stainless steel, so I noticed that when I was redoing my cabin and I removed all the teak trim, about 90% of the screws were brass, and about 10% were stainless. So I guess just what they had at the boatyard. And I got to say, the brass screws are really difficult to remove because they decay into the wood, and they just like get welded into the wood, or glued in. Cleaning the slot out for the screwdriver is kind of a pain. This one is really difficult. And I don't know. Okay, I'm getting the screw to turn a little bit. I just gotta be careful I don't strip the head. Train is just unbelievable. It's every 10 minutes a train is going by here. Okay, it's turning, so I should be able to get this out. It's backing out slowly. The head's starting to strip, so I got to be careful, because if it strips, I'm not going to get the screw out. It's going. Okay, I got it. Now, when I was, I did all the fiberglass work on this cabin. The whole top and sides, the entire thing, I refiberglassed. And it had teak trim, like the trim here around the windows, but along the top, along the bottom, There's teak down in here, and I wanted to remove the teak without damaging it because I wanted to put it all back on the boat. And so I estimated I had 500 screws I had to remove, and you can see how long it took for me to remove this one screw. And when I started on that job, I thought I was going to go ahead and I bought all the materials, the fiberglass, the resin, everything I needed, and took a long weekend. It was Memorial weekend, and I took an extra day off, so it was like a couple days actually. It was a 5-day weekend that I took off, and I thought I'll just go ahead and whip this job out real quick and get the fiberglass this entire cabin and get it done in 5 days. Well, it took 5 years because the first screw I had I guesstimated 500 screws, and the first screw was like this one. It literally took me 20 minutes to remove one screw, and that was the first one. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to take forever, and it did. And so once I did the fiberglass work, it's dirty now. The boat needs to be washed, but I don't want to get this wet. That's why I haven't washed this boat. When I got the fiberglass done, I decided I was not going to put the teak trim back on because I wasn't going to drill my sealed up, nice watertight cabin full of holes, screw holes for the teak. So I didn't put the teak trim back on. Okay, so I got that one out. And I'm just going to keep working my way along. Okay, that one popped out kind of nice. Got half of it out. Let's see if I can get this other half. This is very difficult because I don't want to I want to remove the bungs, but I do not want to damage the teak decking itself, so it's a little challenging. Just got to be real careful and take my time. Oh, that came out good. Okay, so when you replace the bungs, you want to line up the grain on the little bung with the grain of the teak, and the grain runs long ways on these planks. So that's what you have to do, and most of them are done right. There's a few that are crooked, but it's more of a for looks, just to kind of match the grain. So looks like this one's stainless steel again, which when I was removing all when I guesstimated 500 screws on the cabin where all the teak trim was, like I was saying, most of them were brass, and they were really difficult to remove. I mean, they didn't want to turn, and it was real easy to strip the head because brass is soft metal. And but every once in a while I'd run across the stainless steel one, and man, they were nice. They came right out real easy. But every brass one really just was a real problem. And then I guesstimated 500 screws, and I saved all the screws, and then I counted them at the end of the project, and I think there was 497. So I guesstimated within 3 screws, which was pretty good. Okay, I'm just gonna Turn this a little bit. Try to get some of this glue out, and more glue just to make the screw come out easier. Ooh, this screwdriver fits the slot. I think I'll use this big screwdriver. Let's see if I can turn it. Looks like it's turning. There it is. Okay, I'm going to go back to the smaller screwdriver. Yeah. Okay, this one's moving. It's turning, but it's not backing out. The problem is I have to push down on it. And this might be a problem. So I have to be careful not to push down too hard. And try to keep the screw into the screwdriver in the slot. And this one is not coming up. It's turning, but it's not coming up. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this razor knife underneath the edge of the screw here. I don't know if I can, and try to pry it up as I'm turning it. Try to do this out without damaging the teak. Oh, I think this is brass. It looks like it's brass. Yeah, I'm getting it. It's coming up little by little. So I was able to put this underneath it and lift it out. Now I think I can use my bigger screwdriver just to get underneath and lift it as I'm turning. Okay, it's coming out. So you can see this is going to be a big job. And same thing, the end is just rotted off. So, but that's removed. Okay, got another bung right here, and he's come out. I just use the big screwdriver just to clean any glue and wood out just by twisting it. So I'm not going, I haven't even cleaned the slot on the screw out yet, so this is not grabbing into anything, just cleaning it off. And I take the awl and try to find out where the slot is. And that's it right there. I just happened to luck out. Kind of sucks taking these screws out because this is screwed down pretty good, and now I'm taking all the screws out. It's not going to be screwed down until I get it done. So And the trick is I have to clean the entire screw head off. Everything that's on top, all the glue, wood, everything has to come off for the most part. Otherwise it'll get stripped. The wood will get stripped out and then the screw won't come out. Just like that last one did. So I like to get it as clean as I can before I start turning it. See what happens now. It looks pretty good. And it's turning easy. Hopefully this one will come out. Looks like it is. Yeah, it's coming up. Cool. Okay. And this one is the whole screw. It's not rotted off, so that one survived. Okay, so I got a whole row now cleaned out, except for this one. The screw had broken off. It's been like this for a long time. So I'm gonna have to either buy some needle nose pliers and grind the tip down, get some of those curved ones that are curved on the end, and then grind the tip down like Gunther did, the previous owner. So I can get down in there and pull the broken screw out. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and put some acetone down on these holes and just one row across. I'm only going to do one row right now. I want to see how this goes. I don't want to just start tearing a bunch of screws out. So this project I'm going to be doing a little at a time. I don't plan on just making a huge big project out of it. I think it'll be easy. Just go a little as I go, and that way it hopefully won't be too daunting of a job. So now the thing is I have now these screws don't go all the way through, but underneath here is a cabinet in my galley, and I got pots and pans stored in it, and so I just covered all my pots and pans with a sheet of plastic just in case any of this acetone drips through, because acetone's real thin, and it'll find its way in. Now he drilled holes inside the boat underneath this, the fiberglass deck. So it's fiberglass. They laid fiberglass first, then they put plywood on top of that fiberglass, and then they laid another layer of fiberglass over the top, and then they screwed these planks on top of that fiberglass. So basically it's teak, fiberglass, plywood, and fiberglass on the bottom. And he drilled holes in the fiberglass on the other side. He did the other side all along the cabin. And he did that at the lowest point. This is the lowest point, so that the acetone, as it seeps in, can run out and not puddle inside. So, and also help to vent out the moisture too. So I didn't do that on this side, and I don't know if it was really necessary to do that. It might have been, but I'm going to try doing it like this, because acetone evaporates so fast. And I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to let this sit all week, and then next weekend I'm going to come back and I'll go ahead and put some epoxy in this and see how it goes, and just continue on a little at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and put the acetone in now. So I'm going to see if I can do this without spilling it or getting it on me. Fortunately, I only have one glove, and it's on my left hand, but I guess I'll put it on and pour it in this direction. Yeah, I'm spilling a little bit. That's all right. It'll evaporate really quick. It's not going anywhere. Okay. Always put the lid on, so you don't want to knock this over. Luckily, when I was doing my fiberglass work, I had literally probably a few hundred plastic little like Tupperware cups that I mixed resin up in. And I was really worried I was going to knock one over, spill it, and I never did. I was really, I was real careful. I was real lucky. But let's see if I can soak this up here into the syringe. Okay. Now, I'm hoping there's some in the syringe. It doesn't. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, so I'm just gonna squirt this down in the hole, and that just filled that hole up. And what this does is it evaporates really fast. Whoa, this syringe is kind of wonky. And so the goal is to get this this acetone down into the core of the plywood core of the deck. And like I said, when I saw that other boat back east, when he tore the teak off the deck, so he just ripped it off. He ripped all the teak out. He was just gonna fiberglass it, no teak, when he was done. And then he removed the top layer of fiberglass on top of the wood core. And I think he ended up replacing the entire wood core. That would have been a good thing to do. But in this case, I want to save this teak deck, and I don't want to go to all that work. And so it would be a huge job to do that. And so this is, like I said, previous owner did this on the other side of the boat, and it worked out really good. So it should work out okay here too. So I'm just going to go back over and just keep putting acetone down in these holes. I think I got a problem here. And the problem is I might have to get different syringes because I think this acetone has just totally destroyed the syringe. It's not moving. I'll go ahead and see if I can get it to keep working. Okay, it's going. What it's doing is it's screwing this syringe all up. So I'm just gonna have to kind of work fast here. Just keep going back over it. Just keep putting it in. I think it's eating the plastic up. That's what it's doing. See, I told you, about every 10 minutes, here comes the train. When I was in San Leandro Marina, I was right next to the Oakland International Airport runway where the big jets land, the big commercial jets. And it was jets taking off and landing all the time. And they were nowhere near as obnoxious as this train. I got real used to the planes, and I actually miss watching them land. So the trick is, again, this acetone evaporates really fast. It gets down in where, hopefully it gets down into the wood core, the plywood core of the deck, where the wet spots are. So there should be probably a wet spot pretty much around every screw. And then as it evaporates, as the acetone evaporates, it literally draws the moisture out with it. So, and then you just want to let it get good and dry, but this syringe has about had it. I'm going to have to get different syringes. I'm going to have to get glass ones. Because this acetone eats up plastic. And this is not working too well. Let's see if I can just dump it in. Just going to do the rest of this out of this little cup here. Just pour it into every hole, flood it good, and that'll be it for today. So that's how I draw the moisture out of the core of a fiberglass deck with a teak top on it. So now I'm just going to let this sit all week, like I said, and then next weekend I'll come back. I may go ahead and put more acetone down in here, maybe towards the middle of the week, just to make sure it got down in there. I don't think it got down in there too far. It's probably going underneath the teak itself, but yeah, I'll probably treat it a couple more times during the week, and then by next weekend I'll go ahead and film putting the epoxy in. So I'm going to use real thin epoxy. It's a penetrating epoxy. It's actually for doing dry rot repair. So what happens is if you have dry rot, like say you got a dry rot area on wood, and so it's real soft, instead of tearing the whole damn thing out and replacing it with the new wood, which is probably the best way to do it, but you can use this stuff. This one company's called Get Rot, and that's their product, and it works really well. I've used it. I had a little dry rot on the cabin side, on the other side, where I had rainwater leak, and I didn't want to tear it all out because the cabin's curved, and it's hard to take a flat piece of plywood and make it curve and fit the curve of the boat. So I decided to go ahead and use Get Rot. And the good thing about Get Rot is the dry rot wood is like a sponge, and so you drill all these holes, and the epoxy is the Get Rot epoxy is just really super thin epoxy, and so the rotted wood's like a sponge, and it'll just soak that epoxy up. So you drill a bunch of holes, not all the way through, but into the rotted area, a whole big grid of holes, and then you go through and you just you mix it up in a squeeze bottle. It's 2 parts, and then you squirt it into the holes. Slowly squirt it in the holes and let it soak in, and keep going over until the holes finally fill up with epoxy and they'll harden. And when that epoxy cures in that rotted wood is actually stronger than the original wood before it rotted, and it'll never rot again because it's been treated. So that's actually a big advantage to doing that technique of using penetrating epoxy to treat rotted wood. And my other boat I had another big sailboat. It was made out of wood, plywood, the whole boat, and it was fiberglassed over. And I found some dry rot, and unfortunately it was below the water line. And so I went ahead and used Get Rot on it, and it saved that boat. It saved it from sinking, and I didn't sell it when I got rid of it. I just went ahead and I decided I wasn't going to sell it to anybody because of that. And it had some other issues. It was a nice boat, but not as nice as this boat. So this boat's definitely worth working on. Okay, there's the screws removed from those holes there, and you can see the screws I got laid out, and some of them are kind of rotted off and they're shorter, and one of them broke off, so I have to remove that broken off piece that's still down in the hole on one of them there. But so I'm just going to let this sit during the week. I'll probably come back the next couple days and put some more acetone down in here, and then a couple days later put some more in, and then maybe next weekend I'll go ahead and put the penetrating epoxy in and let it cure, and then drill them out and put new screws back in. And eventually then I'll have to put bungs back over the top of the screw holes. So that's it. We'll see what happens. So if you found this video to be helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe.